My name is Rehman, as my colleague told you. Today our topic is corporate tax and natural person, because there is a relief for corporate tax. A lot of people will not discuss about relief. A lot of people will asking you about the taxation. There is some relief for corporate tax and natural persons. Someone is came. We can discuss both relief today in details, but not in too detail, but try to discuss in detail little bit for you people to understand both the natural corporate tax and relief for natural person and small business relief for small organizations. Me is a natural person. For corporate tax, natural person who build up a sole establishment, sole proprietor, they also think about natural person. According to the taxation point of view, who set up the sole establishment, they are natural person for him. They don't consider as an independent company, because the name of that guy as a sole establishment, they think this is a guy who is doing business for everything for him. So if I am earning something on my behalf as a natural person, it's not taxable. If I set up a sole establishment for under my name or anything as a sole proprietor or sole establishment, then it should be a trigger for the corporate tax point of view. A relief for natural person, if I do for myself only, I am doing everything on my behalf. I got salaries. If I do investment somewhere, I got a return. If I do investment in Binance or stock market or anywhere or a real estate, a lot of people are thinking about that real estate income is triggered. If I do on a natural basis, on my own behalf, I invest in real estate in billions, which I wish I will do. If I earning more than 1 million or more than 2 million, more than 3 million, it's not triggered for corporate tax. But the problem is, if I set up a sole establishment, then the property is under the name of sole establishment, then they trigger for corporate tax. It should be in corporate tax regime. If you are letting the property through A and B for short term, if it's required the trade license, then you need to require the trade license. If anything I am doing, for example, I am doing on annual basis, I invest in a property and I do annual basis on return, then in my sense it does not require trade license, because authority says you can do letting the property to outside the people. But this is a proper business. If hotels and motors are also doing for short term stay, if you are doing this type of activity, then it should be a trigger for the corporate tax, because it's required the trade license. The difference between the need, if you are doing a business activity, it's doing any activity which requires the trade license, then you have to be triggered that you need a trade license or no. Normally people in Dubai, when you go in Dubai, you will see a lot of people in the parking. They have some open space, they put a parking. Inside the parking space, they say LLC, because that activity requires the trade license. If I have a property in Dubai, I cannot go, everyone come and park over here and give me a 10 dirham per hour. This activity requires the trade license, so people will require the trade license, and then when you got the trade license, then it should be an alternate story, because they require LLC trade license. If you are going to set up a LLC, then it should be in corporate tax regime. Because the problem is, if any activity which requires the trade license, then you have to go for a trade license. This activity requires the trade license, because you cannot do like this, because for example, I buy this building and make a business center and given to the different community that come and do a business over here. This activity requires the trade license. If some activity does not require the trade license, then it's okay. If activity requires the trade license, then you need to be required a trade license. Then you have to follow the UAE local law. And if natural person is conducting business or business activity is established sole establishment, and if you set up a sole establishment and your turnover is less than 1 million in a calendar year, here there is a difference in natural person. They don't say taxable period. Every time a natural person year is a calendar year. So you have to follow the calendar years. Because if company need his taxable period differently. But for natural person, they said calendar year, not for taxable year. So if your revenue is less than 1 million, as mentioned, you had set up a sole establishment. Your revenue is less than 1 million, so you are exempt from the corporate tax. If your revenue is more than 1 million, then you have to be triggered to go for a corporate tax registration and these all things. And for example, a lot of people asking me, if I set up a sole establishment, in 2024, I have a revenue of more than 1 million. In 2025, my revenue is less than 1 million. So can I go for a deregistration? No. Law says no. You make the registration, it's okay. And if your revenue is less than 1 million, don't go for a submission of CET returns. Keep your registration. If next time your revenue is going to up, then go for a submission. If no, then let us do like this. Don't go for a deregistration. One time your revenue is more than 1 million, so go for registration, then keep the registration active until your revenue is more than 1 million. If your revenue go to 1 million once in life, then go for a CET returns. When you trigger this 1 million, you also have to be added exempt income, not out of scope, but exempt income. Because if you set up a sole establishment under your name and invest in a local company, so that sole establishment invest in a local company and you got a dividend from local company. Local company dividend right now is exempt income, is not taxable income. So that exempt income you have to be added in your sole establishment 1 million threshold. If you have set up 100 sole establishment, then you added 100 sole establishment revenue because they consider you as a one entity, not different entity. They consider you as a transparent one entity. So every sole establishment revenue will be added, and then you have in the total should not be exceed 1 million. If total should be exceed, you should have to be added and go for registration for your own. In Abu Dhabi, there is a lot of people have a different sole establishment because of the trade license fee. If you set up a trade license sole establishment, the trade license fees is around 3,400, something like this. So if you go for LLC, the fees is around 12,000 or 13,000. So a lot of people set up a sole establishment under the name of the local. But the problem for corporate tax right now, they have to be triggered as a one entity, one person, and everyone should be taxable on that income. So normally it should be more than 1 million if one guy is more than 100 organizations. This income is not taxable as a personal capacity. Wages, personal investment, real estate, as we discussed. Exempt income is domestic dividend. There's participation exemption and foreign permanent establishment. Participation exemption is one of the two detailed topics. If I go there, it will take more than 2 hours. But for short, if you have a foreign investment or any investment which is 5% of that company in equity and more than 4 million, you trigger that. If you have an investment in any company for 5% or for more than 4 million, then you go for a participation exemption. But other rest criteria you have to be follow. Almost 4 criteria you have to be follow. The main advantage is if you have any investment in the equity 5% or 4 million, then you could claim for participation exemption. And foreign permanent establishment election, this is basically election. You have to be made election on the first tax return. But if you have a foreign permanent establishment, your company is here, you also have a foreign permanent establishment. If you make an election that I don't go for the company profit over here, then you have to be exempt this company. But if you select that I will take that company here in the profit, then you will take the profit of that company in your competition, but you will take the double taxation relief at the last stage. Double taxation, you have to see the double taxation agreement of, I think, UAE company. UAE almost every company, but rest Germany, they don't have a double taxation agreement with Germany. This resident natural person can claim qualify small business relief, but small business relief is the next topic. So when I finish the small business relief, then I will explain you, because there is a small business relief as well. Natural person can also claim small business relief as well. We can discuss small business relief right now. Sometimes you are dealing short term. For threshold, you have to be added this dividend. I already mentioned that for the 1 million threshold, you have to be added your exempt income as well. For the natural person, 1 million threshold, you have to be added your exempt income as well. If you are doing on a personal capacity, you are getting a salary from a personal capacity, but if you are getting salary from sole establishment, is not allowable expense for the computation of corporate tax. For LLC, it's allowable. For if you are sole establishment, you are getting salary from your sole establishment, is not allowable expense for you, or taxable computation. Because in taxable income computation, dividend is not allowable expense. Normally, dividend is not income part, the dividend is a retained earning part, but normally people will minus from the profit and loss because of small company, they don't know, but they minus from the profit and loss statement. Dividend is not allowable expense for corporate tax computation. The second part is small business relief. This is basically, to be honest, this is a good decision by ministry for small entity. For natural person, relief is available for resident and non-resident as well. But this small business relief is only available to the resident. So natural person relief is available to both resident and non-resident. If you are not resident, you also get the natural person relief. But small business relief, you have to be resident over here. This is the difference between natural person. But if your turnover is not exceeding 3 million in the previous tax period and this tax period, only one period need to be considered. Normally, this period is the first tax period for most of the companies. I did not see in the market that company has a June to July taxable period. A lot of company has January to December. For small business relief, if you are getting more than 3 million in 2023, it does not matter. He said taxable period. This is our first taxable period. The previous is not our taxable period because there is no tax implication over the last period. If this year your taxable income is less than 3 million, so you can apply for small business relief. To avail small business relief, the benefit of small business relief, you don't have to pay any income tax. But you have to be select on your return. There is option of selection. I saw almost more than 15 election need to be made in first 9 pages CT returns. Is comprehensive, but if you select for small business relief, it will come in 3 pages only. It's simplified and in detail. For corporate tax, for small business, they go for a simplified CT returns. If your revenue is less than 3 million, but this valid is until 31st December 2026 right now. In future, if they increase, we don't know. But right now, it's until 2026. A lot of people set up a company in a free zone and they are not eligible for this small business relief. But if you select that I am not a qualified free zone person, then you can apply for small business relief. There is an option in the election. If you go without qualified free zone, then you can get a small business relief. If you did not opt it, then you can, maybe you see every company has a different perspective. If your income is qualifying, there is a qualifying income criteria. If you feel the qualifying income, yeah, I am qualifying free zone and my income is qualifying, then you get 0% tax rate, enjoying the 0% benefit of tax. If your income is not qualifying and you are small entity, better to go for without option. Opt in this option without qualifying free zone and go for a small business relief. Because small business relief is, you can only submit the CT return. You did not pay any tax. This is just for the simplify for small business, that small entity that they are earning here, it's okay. They said it's earning, it's okay, no problem. But you don't have to pay any corporate tax over here. If you are comparing 9 pages with the 3 pages, it's obviously they already give you exemption of 6 pages with CT return computations. But you have to be maintain your record. As I discussed, there is no taxable income, no required to calculate taxable, simplify VAT return, option of financial statement. You can also go for, in small entity, you can also go for a cash based accounting. If you need to go for a cash, normally companies go for a accrual based accounting. And if you are going for opting small business relief, you can go for a cash based accounting as well. Select that we are going to go for a cash based accounting. So they can give you a relief of cash based accounting as well. Normally small entity will go for a cash based accounting. When the cash in, they put a sale, then cash out they go as book as expenses. But if you don't go up to this one, then you have to follow IFRS for SME. There is 2 types of IFRS right now in Middle East. For Middle East tax computation, you have to follow IFRS. And they don't allow any other US GAAP and any other laws of accounting. Because there are, I think, 8 different accounting laws. Brazil has its own, US has its own, Saudi has its own IFRS. But no, right now they are following IFRS as well. But there are 2 types of IFRS. One is a full-fledged IFRS, one is IFRS for SME. So if you are a small business and small entity, then you can apply for IFRS and SME. But the advantage of small business is you don't have to pay any tax over here, but you have to submit your CT return. You have to be registered as well. A lot of people is getting the penalty for non-registration. They say you have to be registered, but a lot of people is not registered. If you have a business, if you have a trade license of LLC, you have to go for registration as well. Registration is compulsory, submission is compulsory, but you don't have to pay corporate tax. This is the main advantage for getting small business relief as well. This, how is the work? It's election. I already told you, submission of election at the first tax return. When you are going to submit the election submission, you have to be opted that I am opting small business relief. So then they know that this company has a less than 3 million revenue. So they simplify your CT returns. Then you have to submit simplified CT returns as well. You have to be selected. It's not automatically. Disadvantage of small business relief is if you selected small business relief, you have tax losses. You cannot carry forward that tax losses. So better if you have a tax losses current year, don't go for this option. Go for simple CT returns. So then the advantage of this one, you can carry forward your tax losses and your net interest. There is a capping of interest in expenses as well in the CT computation. There is a 3 election that is revocable. Other all election are irrevocable. 3 election is forum permanent establishment, then small business relief, and qualified free zone person. These 3 elections you can revoke, but other you cannot. This one, small business relief, forum permanent establishment, and qualifying free zone person. These 3 are revocable. These are only 3 elections which are irrevocable. Other are irrevocable. You can change in the next CT returns. But for city, they said every free zone is a qualifying free zone person until they cannot go for this option. It's depend upon business to business that you are going this option or you are not going to opt this option. Basically, in your computation, in your progress, you will see the option that can I opt, can I not. The problem is if you are a mainland company, for audited financial statement, you need when your revenue is 50 million. And when you are qualified free zone person, you need audited financial statement every year. It's a must. Okay. And when you are saying the revenue, it's depend upon. Basically, it's attention. Normally, if you want to hide, you can hide anything. If you don't want to hide, then there is another option of VAT return. They can vary from your VAT return, which you are submitting from quarterly basis. If your revenue from the VAT return is growing more than 3 million and you are saying in corporate tax, doesn't go out because they centralized everything. If you see from the last 1 year, they are centralizing everything. When your tax audit will be came, they don't say ask bank statement from directly from your, they can take from the central bank as well. A lot of small organizations did not get any audit, FT audit. So people will say that I will hide something. If audit will become, everything will become out. So if you are a free zone person, you have to go for audited financial statement. Then you have to be triggered that 3 million is done. No, not. If you're not, then if you want, for example, a lot of people asking me that I have a 2.9 million revenue in November. So I will stop then creating invoicing in December and go for small business relief. And I go for the in January invoices. You can do, but the problem is this is allowable? No. If the audit will become, they will trigger that on the 1st January you create 1 million in revenue or 200,000 revenue on the first date of the next year. It will be triggered that you are hiding the revenue from the previous year. This revenue should belong from the previous year. So they can trigger, but it depends upon your own intention. But right now, to be frank, if you calculate the taxable income, that rate of taxable income is not 9%. Normally people will confuse that this rate is 9%. The problem is first 375% is a zero rate. So if we have a taxable income is 1 million, the first 375 is a rate of 0%. The above is 9%. So you can compute it, it almost effectively 5 to 6% tax over here. In the all over the world is, I think, more than this one. I think from other company, there is, I think, 4 to 5 countries don't have corporate tax. I think Bermuda is one of the. In the RAK, you have to take, I think, the permission from the RAK. I don't know. He set up a company, Rakis. But we are also Rakis-based company. We are sitting here. Dealing is a different topic. Taxation is a different topic. For the taxation point of view, we have to review your activity and which guy you are dealing right now. So it should need to be a trigger, because we cannot say right now you can go for without taxation. If we go for in detail, then we will see. The problem is qualified free zone person and designated qualified free zone person, different criteria. So Rakis is a designated qualified free zone. In the case of services, you can do, but you have to be in the services must be 5%. VAT point of view. For corporate tax point of view, a different story. For VAT point of view, it's a different story. For corporate tax, is a different story. But you can apply. You can do services. You can give goods to mainland company as well. But you have to see your tax effect. I receive a lot of invoices where people put CT returns number on the tax invoice, and they are generating tax invoice with the CT return. It's not allowable. It should be offensive. If you can make a complaint that this guy is doing this activity, it should be a minimum 50,000 dirham penalty. There is a one article 59. This article is specifically for the tax invoice. How you can create a tax invoice. So you have to see how you can create a tax invoice. It's not you can create any invoice and it should be a taxable. It's not like that. There is a proper article, that is 59 article number for VAT law.